The Morgan Report with David Morgan.
David Morgan of themorganreport.com for the week ending 21 October 2022. Well, lots is going on in the financial system, as we are all aware. And this you could go broke in less than 24 hours certainly is true. And it is not a joke. Certainly you can look at this. I've talked about it before. And if you've not seen it, I would highly recommend that you look at this. Banks to Seize Your Money in the Coming Financial Crisis. I know it's a powerful title, but it does talk about bail-ins versus bail-outs. And this is critical to what could take place in the not too distant future. And if you haven't done it already, just come over here. Please just put in a name and your email, because we have been shadow banned for forever. And we certainly have had our strikes on YouTube, and I just got another one. I'm not saying they're taking me down, but it's good to be on our mailing list, because regardless of what happens in the future, we'll be able to stay in contact. So as you know, if you just come to the blog tab and hit blog, this is where most of our information is. And you will see, to get to our YouTube channel, it's probably the easiest is just to hit the icon there. And you'll come here, and there is this 1 minute pitch for the Morgan Report. You can just click it off as I just showed you. But I want to make everyone aware of this. I have this community tab, like everybody else that has a YouTube channel. And when you click the community, you get videos that I think are very worth your time. And this week I've put up one. I just spoke with Chris Martenson, had not spoken to him in a while. Very much in alignment with most of his thinking. It is a 45-minute video, but it's worth every minute in my perspective. Why? Because he talks a lot about why the WEF will fail, and he also goes through the science of the green revolution and what's right and what's wrong. And as an engineer at one time, there's a lot that's out there in the blogosphere that's just plain wrong. As most of you know, one of my favorite expressions is there's nothing more powerful than the truth. And of course, that gets to be a gray area, because it's my truth or it's this truth instead of an ultimate objective truth, which is there one or not? I'm not certain. What I am saying is, to the best of my ability, the absolute truth on some of this green stuff is interesting. For example, how long in years it would take to mine a certain element that will be required for the green energy future, and it just does not work. I've done my own study on the amount of silver required to go solar for the world. Can't happen. There's not enough silver available to make it happen. Could we improve the technology where it might? Yeah, I won't rule that out. It's highly unlikely. The silver used per panel as far as efficiency goes has been quadrupled in about the last 2 decades. Could you do it again? Yeah. If you did that, it still would be a far cry from having enough silver, which will leave nothing for the electrical or electronics industries, which of course are highly dependent on silver. So to wrap this part up, I highly recommend that you listen to this video from Chris Martenson. So I'm going to take the rest of the time talking about silver, probably the bond market a bit. But for those that don't know, this came out 17th of October, a few days back, and introducing Silver Dragon Silverback. For those who aren't familiar with it, you can look it up on the web. It's called Goldback. And these are pieces of, I won't say paper because they're not. They're a film that holds like 1/1000th of a troy ounce of pure gold. And these are rather unique. Some of our community are familiar with them. In fact, I purchased several and handed them out at the Silver Summit recently, Silver Symposium, excuse me. And of course, the idea has always been that they would do it in silver, and they have. And of course, this is like 2 cents worth of silver, and they'll probably sell for several dollars. I'm not sure they have a price yet. So it's a collector's item only. It's not a way to stack silver. I'm planning on buying 1 or 2. I'm planning on buying a few. But what's interesting, I like the design, I like the dragon, but the silverback is quite interesting because the Wall Street silver crowd uses silverback, which is in relation to the silverback ape. So it wouldn't surprise me to see in the future that the silverback comes out and we have a WSS ape on here. So something to be aware of, caught my attention. It's brand new. This will probably be news to most of you. I know some of you are ahead of me or right alongside me as far as what's going on in the silver industry, but this is one that I thought was rather important. So the next item up is what myself and many others have talked about with what's going on at the U.S. Mint in relationship to the amount of silver eagles that are being produced relative to the demand that's out there, and I got corrected. So I wanted to share that with everybody. So the law, and I won't put it up here, was what I've been advocating and others, and that is that the mandate, I'll call it, is that the amount of silver eagles produced should match or closely match what the demand is. That was actually changed, and this was pointed out to me. Subtle, but it's here. At the request of the United States Mint, a bill with a legislative fix for a problem was introduced known as, quote unquote, Coin Modernization, Oversight, and Continuity Act of 2010. The bill was passed in the House of Representatives and Senate and became public law. There's the number with President Obama's signature. Under the act, the previous requirements related to the issuance of the American Silver Eagle bullion coins were changed. The new requirement called for the Secretary of the Treasury to strike the coins in both quantities and qualities that the Secretary determined to be sufficient to meet public demand. In other words, well, I say you only need one loaf of bread per week, but you need 3 to live. Doesn't matter. I've determined it. That's rather harsh, but that's what this says. So I want people to be clear that I was mistaken, and I want to correct that. As you well know, anyone that's followed me very long knows when I'm wrong, I promptly admit it. Someone pointed this out to me. I'm admitting it now. The purpose, and this is almost laughable, the purpose of the change was to allow proof silver eagles to be produced even at times when bullion coins were not being minted in quantities needed to satisfy the full public demand. Yeah, we've got to make sure we have enough proofs. So that's it. I wanted to be clear on it. So now if someone says they must do such and such, you can correct them. I was corrected. Now you can do the same. Next item is from the SilverSeek website. This is titled Stand Up and Make a Difference. It was published last week, basically last Friday, in fact. And it's from Ted Butler. And Ted has once again written to the authorities, the CFTC, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, and outlined what's his viewpoint of what's happening in the silver market. And he suggested that everyone take the time, which would take about a minute, to cut and paste these email addresses. And you could just cut and paste a letter, put your name on it, and send it in. I took it and expanded on it and sent it. You can also send a snail mail letter to this address. And of course, he was asked during his interview with Wall Street Silver, what do you wish to accomplish? And the idea really is just to inundate the CFTC and let them know there's a lot of people out here that still are not happy with them, their underperformance, let's say, not doing really what they're mandated to do. There are restrictions and there are limits, and they just ignore them. And it's just good to bring it to their attention. It certainly made me feel better. So you can read the letter. You can do whatever you wish. I suggest you go ahead and use it as a template, add your own comments. As a minimum, email it. And if you're so inclined, print out a few copies and send it to the CFTC. So I want to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm back on the website. As you can see, I am now at the Books tab, and I'm going to click on the Silver Manifesto. So I'm going to finish up with I'm going to pitch you on the Silver Manifesto, book that's been published some time ago. I'm going to read a little bit from the back of the book, give you an idea that this is about silver, but far more than that, what happens in the end of these great empires, these great inflations. In fact, the primary purpose of this book is to educate the reader as to why there is no way out of the financial morass by the political class or the financial elite. We have reached the point where the savvy few understand what is happening and take action, while the rest are left watching, thinking precious metals bull market is dead. Silver has been money throughout history, and the U.S. was founded on a silver standard. The authors explore when to expect the next bull market to begin and why. How the 2008 financial crisis has been papered over and what to watch for going forward. It is possible there won't be enough silver available for investment demand as industrial users scramble to hoard what they need to stay in business. The real supply and demand, looking at both industrial and monetary demand. Money and banking, what fractional reserve banking means to currency and bullion. The best, surest method to stay in the profit zone and not worry about the wild price swings. How to pick a mining company. Most who are taught this methodology have a degree in finance, but we break it down for the average investor. The silver manipulation story, the facts, more facts, and the irrefutable facts. And lastly, the biggest concern of all, to all investors, the debt bomb. So I've only printed 1,000 of these, and I still have probably 500 left, and I don't really make a lot of money on them, but if you want to make money in silver, just pass it on to your heirs, because it will be a collector's edition once everything unravels, and there's so few copies that probably sell on eBay in 20 years for far more than you're paying for it, even in real terms. But so that's it. I want to just wish everyone a great weekend. I will be back next week with another weekly perspective. This is David Morgan of themorganreport.com. And remember, there is nothing more powerful than the truth.